straight to the top of the charts. Go straight to the top of the charts. From 10 to 1, you got a show number 1 when you go straight to the...
So you think we have a lazy time? Well, you should know better. And I don't know why. I just don't know why. And you say I've got a dirty mind. Well, I'm a big go-getter. And I don't know why. And I don't know why anymore. Oh no. So come feel the noise. Let's rock the boys. We get wild, wild, wild. We get wild, wild, wild. So come feel the noise. Just rock the boys. We get wild, wild, wild. But you don't. So come feel the noise. Just rock the boys. We get wild, wild, wild. We get wild, wild, wild. So come feel the noise. Just rock the boys. We get wild, wild, wild. We get wild, wild, wild. Come feel the noise. Just rock the boys.
All
Blimey.
right, here we are. We go straight to the top of the charts. And let me tell you, we love Don Powell here in Australia, all over
How
the
you
world.
doing?
It's our pleasure, Sabine, to have Don Powell with us from Slade. How are you, Don?
Yeah, welcome,
I'm
welcome.
Great, mate. Good to see you both. You okay?
Yeah, we're groovy, Don, and you know
Good.
this is such an honour.
No,
Thank you
it's
so much for your
fantastic.
time. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for such a brilliant gig last Wednesday at the Royal Albert Hall. I have to say, I was there. I was there.
I'll tell you what, it was a great night all round. Like I was just saying, it should have been filmed and recorded.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Do I call you Irish or Sabine?
Oh no! Please call me Sabine. I'll
Okay.
explain about that later off air. But I just
Okay.
that's all down to my mum. But Iris, yeah. But Sabine is my known name.
Okay,
It's,
love. No,
it's
it was
German. It's a German
great
name.
night. I tell you what, I've never played the Albert Hall before, Sabine, in plastic. I've been there. I went to see Eddie Clapton there. But I tell you what, the organisation there was fantastic.
Good.
So,
Yes.
and the security, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, it was a pleasure to play there. It was a great night. I think we were all a bit jittery at first, you know, but it came out great.
Yeah, you must have all had such a buzz. I know Susie looked like she was on. You were all on top form, and I tell you what, you know, I was looking at the faces. I was turning around in my seat and looking at everybody. It was just pure joy, pure joy.
Great.
So,
it was great. It was really good. Like I said, we were all a bit jittery at first, but it came out okay.
Brilliant. Okay.
Now, Don, I want to ask you. I want to take you back to Australia, right? Slade Alive. The album comes out in March 1972. It's in the UK at number 2 for 58 weeks. You come to Australia, I think, in 73, 74. Australia's crazy for Slade. Tell me how crazy it was. It was like Beatlemania, wasn't it?
Well, I'll tell you what, Plastic. We got off the plane, I think it was in Sydney, and there was all these TV cameras there waiting. And I remember looking behind thinking, well, who's on the plane? You know, who's on and they were waiting for us because, like you said, that Slade Alive had gone mental. You know, it's gone gold. It's had a triple gold. We had a triple gold award, and then apparently it went gold another 3 times. It was
wow.
I tell you what, that was when we were on tour with Quo and Lindisfarne in 73. And I tell you what, when we were on the tour coach, all you ever heard on the radio was Slade. And the other bands were going, oh no, not you one again. It was quite funny actually. But I tell you what, that was the first gold record we ever received, and that was for Slade Alive, a triple gold. Fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh, you can't see it. It's on my wall down there. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
You must be very proud, but let me tell you, you got to understand, Australia's crazy for Susie Quattro. Australia's crazy for Sweet.
yeah.
Australia's crazy for Slade. And as I said, Andy, if you're watching, you're the greatest too. We love Andy as
Yeah,
well.
we'll get Andy on. We'll get Andy on some stage. But we've interviewed Susie. Well, Plastic first, and then the second time with me, and that was a joy. I love Susie. I really are. You know,
Well, Susie, actually, we met Susie. Mickey Mouse brought her over in '72, I think it was, to the UK, and he asked Chas Chandler, who was managing Slade at the time, if she could guest on one of our tours. And that's when we first met in 1972.
72, yeah.
On one of our UK tours. And we've been mates ever since.
Oh, and what about Andy? When did you meet Andy first?
But would you? Now, this is a story. In 1968, Slade, it was before Slade, we call the In-Betweens then. We had a gig in the Bahamas, would you believe?
Wow.
And I mean, you can imagine, we've never been on a plane before, and we flew there. I thought it was the engines were still on the aeroplane. I ran back on the aeroplane. It was just the heat in the Bahamas. We were playing this club, was in quite a salubrious part of the island, and we never got paid because it was making no money. And Andy, with his band, it was the Elastic Band then.
Yeah,
he was playing at another club on the island, and that's when we first met Andy Scott.
Oh, right.
That was in 1968,
right.
And we never made contact again until the Top of the Pops days, 1971. Sweet were having hits before Slade, but our first hit record was 1971, and that's when we met Andy at the old Top of the Pops program. And we've just been mates ever since, really.
Oh, fantastic!
That was the only time we ever saw each other was at TV shows.
Yeah,
Slade and Sweet never did any live concerts together, but we've just been mates.
Yeah. Well, I remember the Top of the Pops days, Dom, because I was a early teen, like 13, 14. And in fact, I was just saying to Plastic before the show, is that I had a Welsh boyfriend, Nigel, and he was a skinhead, and he was into Slade big time. Yeah, with a skinhead, remember the image? Yeah. And he went to Woolworths. I was living in Basingstoke at the time, grew up in Basingstoke for a while. And so he went to Woolworths with me on a Saturday morning, and we bought Get Down and Get With It.
Fantastic.
And I had that on my radio player in my little Danzette, whatever it was. And I played it. Oh, and my mum went bananas. But,
how we got to record that, Sabine, was like, because it was basically the last song in our show in those years. It was forever, actor. But it used to go down a storm. How we first heard it, there's this pub we used to play in our hometown, Wolverhampton, and the disc jockey there used to finish the night off with Little Richard's Get Down and Get With It. We thought, we've got to learn that for stage. And that's how it came about. And our record producer, manager at the time, Chas Chandler, he says, we've got to record that, and that's what kicked it all off for us.
I know. What a belter that was. I mean, they're all belters, but
I'll tell you what, Sabine and the Plastic, we could never follow that song on stage. We could only finish with that song. We could never do anything else after it,
Hey, Don, I've got to ask you about Chas Chandler. Did he ever talk about Hendrix or when he was with the Animals?
Yeah, I mean, about Hendrix. But I'll tell you what, Plastic, we were in the studio the one time. Chas often, he loved Hendrix. There was a real affection there for him, and he was, we never saw him for a couple of weeks. When Hendrix sadly died, we never saw Chas for a couple of weeks. That's how bad it cut him up. You know? And we borrowed an amplifier off Jimmy once. We were in the studio working with Chas. I can't remember what the occasion was, but there was something we couldn't get a guitar sound. So Chas said, "Well, Jimmy's got this great small amplifier, studio amplifier." So he calls him up and says, can we borrow the amplifier? So we all get in the van and go round and hope, it's only a tiny amp, but we all go around hoping to see Hendrix, We never saw him. His girlfriend came to the door, gave us the amplifier, and we never saw him. But I wish we still had that amplifier. I think it just fell apart. You never think about those things then, sort of thing.
Hey, Don, can I ask you, did Chaz ever play any bass for you guys? Did he ever show you any riffs or anything?
No, never did. I think Plastic, after he finished with the Animals of Hendrix, he never played again until. Sorry, can I just Anna Christina, can I call you back? I'm on an interview on the computer. Okay, it's my daughter.
Oh, it's a daughter. Oh,
but no, it wasn't until the Animals reformed that they ever played again. He never bothered with the guitar. It's very strange. And
he was devastated. He was absolutely devastated. Probably
about Hendrix.
Yeah.
Oh,
and yeah, because we all were. I mean,
I'll tell you what we were doing. We were doing a live radio show in London, and we'd been to see Chaz about an hour before, because he said he wanted to ask us. Hendrix had asked him to manage him again,
right?
And he wanted to ask us if we were okay about it. We said,
okay, right,
for sure. Blimey, to be in the same stable as Hendrix would be fantastic. Anyway, we go to this the BBC station in London, and we're doing like a live radio show, and we're just doing the sound checks and everything. And then the producer came on the intercom and said, "Oh, have you heard the news?" And we said, "What?" I said, "They found Hendrix dead." I thought, "What?" Talk about the way things sort of connect. And well, what it was, Chaz apparently was on his way to see his mom and dad up the north in England, and they had to telephone before emails, and they telephoned his dad to go and meet him off the station because all the press were waiting for him. Chaz hadn't got a clue. And like I said, we never saw Chaz for a few weeks after that. It destroyed him.
Yeah.
It destroyed him. Very
It's
sad.
amazing that, Don, I love asking you these questions because people won't ask you these questions, but isn't it such an amazing voice that Noddy's got? Like Noddy's voice is like something you've never heard before.
Unbelievable, Plastic. Unbelievable. I'll tell you what, it was a great compliment of John Lennon, because when we did an album in New York in the mid-70s, and it was the same studio that Lennon always recorded the record plant. We weren't there at the time, but Chaz was mixing, because they knew each other from the 60s, the Animals, the Beatles, and the Stones, things like that. So Lennon apparently went in to say hello to Chaz, and he was listening to one of our playbacks with Nigel sort of thing, and Lennon says, "Yeah, I like that singer. He sounds like me." I thought,
love it.
I thought, what a fantastic compliment.
Yeah, and what a quote, Don. You should get that printed out and framed.
I know. That could be used now, couldn't it? But I must tell you this story. We're on an American tour, and Nod, all the years we were together, he very rarely lost his voice. I only ever knew him lose his voice about 2 times. But when it went, it went.
Right.
And we'd just done this 12-week American tour, and we had a few days off in New York, and his voice was shot. His voice was gone. So our agent over there arranged him to see this voice specialist. So he goes along. Now, this voice specialist looked after people like Liza Minnelli and sort of Johnny Mathis, people like that. He hadn't got a clue who Nod was. And he looked at his voice and says, "Blimey," he said, "I can't believe your throat." What? He says, "Give us some idea of how you sing," right? And Nod gave him the start to Get Down and Get With It. And I think the guy's glasses shattered right through the thing. And he said, "I can't do anything for you." And that was it.
That's brilliant. I love that. I love that.
Incredible.
Yeah. Oh, I love Noddy. Oh, you guys. And what I'd like to know, Don, is just for people, fans obviously know, but for anyone else who doesn't know the actual background to how you all linked up, like how Dave Hill came into on the horizon, and the vendors, the band, and then let's go right back. I really what I'm interested in is that your very first drum kit. When did you get? What age were you when you got your first drum kit? Did you have a school band? And then how did you, Dave, and Jim and Noddy all come to be? How did you meet even? How did you?
I'll go back to the start. I mean, I wasn't playing drums then. I knew I'd sort of messed around with it, like in a youth club band sort of thing. But I mean, we're only miming, sort of to records then, and John, two guys, Johnny Howells and Mickey Marson, came down to the youth club. I didn't know these guys, and they said, "We heard you play drums," and I said, "Well, what do you mean?" They said, "Well, Johnny was a singer and a guitarist, and Mick was a guitarist, and they were after a drummer." And I hadn't got a clue what it was all about, And I said, "Well, I don't even have any drums." I said, "But my school friend, a guy named David Bowdley, he's got some drums." So, they said about having a rehearsal at Johnny's house. And so I got Dave Bowdley's drums off him. He never had them back. He never had them back. I don't know what happened to them, mind you, but he never had them back. Anyway, we just rehearsed in Johnny's front room. They had like a downstairs sort of toilet bathroom, and I had the drums set up in there, and the other two guys were in the living room, and we used to shout to each other what we were going to play, and some of the stuff then it was above me. They were into like Buddy Holly, Eddie Cochran, people like that, and I didn't know these people. I was too young for it, but I soon got to know it, and it was great. I mean, it was just unbelievable. We used to play like at weddings, birthday parties, and just pub rooms and things like that, basically. And I remember we were doing they used to have the Saturday morning matinee at the local cinema.
Yeah.
And it's only around the corner from where Johnny lived. And then Johnny went round and got us a gig there. I think we played like 3 songs before they started the film things,
Yeah.
And
did you get any payment for that?
Sorry?
Did you get any payment for that?
No, listen, that's what listen. And then Johnny said, "Oh, we're getting paid. We're getting £6 for this, And I said, "Paid? We get paid for this?" I thought it was a hobby, I didn't realize we got paid, and you realize, I mean, that was like sort of £2 each. I mean, God, that was, I couldn't believe £2 was a bloody lot of money then, sort of thing. And then we started doing weddings and playing at wedding receptions, and that was great because we could eat and drink for free. And we used to get we used to get sloshed. I mean, we used to get slaughtered for nothing. It was great.
Brilliant.
We loved the weddings, sort of thing. But and then we had this guy who wanted to manage us, a guy named Chalky White. Right, great name for a manager, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he started getting us a few gigs at pubs and things like that. And he said, "I think you need another guitarist." And we said, "Well, we don't know anybody, And he said, "I've been watching this band, and the guitarist said, I think he'll fit you." And that was Dave. And he came to rehearsal at John's house, and it sort of it clicked straight away. And how we met Noddy Holder was, I mean, he was in another local group called Steve Brett and the Mavericks. He wasn't the lead singer then. He was a guitar. He was just a backing vocalist. And then we used to play all the same pubs together, and we just met him just by accident one day in town while Dave and myself were in town. And our group was sort of falling apart at the time, and then it turns out, he said, so was his. So we said about how about getting together, And in the meantime, we auditioned for the bass player, which was Jim Lee, and we rehearsed in this pub near where Nod lived with his mom and dad, and it just clicked straight away. I remember the very first song we ever played together was Mr. Pitiful by Otis Redding.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and because we both bands used to play, so we all knew the song, and it was the proverbial thing. We just fell about laughing because it worked straight away, and
Yeah.
and that,
So
that's
the chemistry was all there. The chemistry was all there. You
it
all
was
got
there
on really
straight,
well.
there
And
straight
you're all
away.
from the same area, all from the same Wolverhampton.
Yeah, all the
Yeah.
same sort of working class boys. And you know something, we had this thing between us, and it carried on all the years we were together. We would never buy each other a drink. It's a funny thing. We never bought each other a drink. We go to the bar and I'll buy my own and Jim will buy his own, or like things like that. It's a funny thing, it was just like an unwritten law. We never bought each other a drink. It's very, very strange, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the chemistry was there straight away.
Yeah.
I think what it was, we each knew each other's personalities, whatever habits and all that kind of thing. And that was it. It just worked.
And then all your different images. Then, as I said, as touched on before, the skinhead image, with the bother boy look, that was very strong. That image. How did you think people took to that, Don?
Not
honestly.
very well, actually.
No.
How it started, I mean, we're all hippies, got the long hair, all the trendy clothes, and then Chas called us into the office, and he mentioned the skinhead thing was kicking off in London then, and he mentioned about us becoming skinhead to become different to everybody else. I mean, we were totally against it at first, but we thought we'd do it just to please Chas, because we thought, now we've got a manager, somebody who knows the business, and so we did it. I mean, it wasn't a good time for us, I have to be quite honest. I mean, we didn't play skinhead music, we were still playing rock music, and the skinheads saw right through us, they saw right through us. But
now, Don, I've got to ask you. Sorry? We forget the skinheads now. We move on to the glam, because that was the big scene with the glam. How great was it? How great was it with the glam? And I've got to ask you, the female adulation as you're climbing the ladder must have been like unbelievable. When did you realise the females have gone crazy for Slade? At what point did you think this is like Beatlemania?
Well, it's like when, I don't know, the first time was when we booked into a hotel in London, and we pulled up in our battered old van, and there's all these screaming kids waiting outside. And of course, we got into a lot of trouble. We had to charge our way through the hotel doors, and the hotel were not pleased at all. And they were sort of sending for the police. They were going to kick us out, actually, the hotel, but it turned out it was okay. But we were never that type of band, Plastic and Sabine. We were never that kind of band. We weren't like the pin-up type thing, people. You know what I mean?
But you pulled off the look so well, and Noddy with that mirror hat.
Yeah,
how you got that all together. I read that. How you put mirrors on the hat and the platforms. And Dave is just so outrageously.
Dave, if I tell you that Dave is colourblind, would that make sense?
Oh, okay.
That'll make sense. But the thing is, as well, also, when we're in the dressing room, he would never change in front of us, right?
Okay.
And it wasn't until he came out the dressing room with whatever creation he came up with, all that kind of thing. But it was a funny thing as well. We used to buy our clothes at Kensington Market in London. I don't know if it's still there now.
I used to go there in the 70s.
Yeah, we used to all the time. But we always used to use this store in Kensington Market where Freddie Mercury worked. That's when we first met him. Yeah, we didn't know who he was then.
Didn't Noddy buy the hat from Freddie's stall?
I don't know about that. I don't know about the hat, but we bought a lot of things from Freddie. The store where Freddie worked and everything.
Yeah.
But, of course, he was there as well, still mincing around. So I'm going to be famous as well.
But Don, I've got to say, you've got to understand, with any band, right? You saw that clip, right? Come on, feel the noise, and you're holding it together with the drums, because the drums are the soul of the band. Without the right timing and that image, I got to say, you look fantastic with the long hair. You hold it. You look serious, right? A bit serious, having fun. But the other guys are going all out, but you're holding it. When they see you, they go, "Oh, there's the straight guy holding it all together."
if I told you I used to be bored on TV shows,
Oh no!
I used
Did
to
you
be
not
bored
like
to
going on
tears.
top of the
Well,
pops then?
it's something that the public don't see. We've been there all day rehearsing
Yeah,
or hanging around, you know. So I
yeah,
was there. I mean, there's
yeah.
one shot. It was a bit later on. Plastic and Sabina. I actually looked at my watch. We was playing. I thought, oh, God, how long have we got?
Really? So
And he
you
said,
know when you were on top of the pops, right? And then you had to do how many takes did they ask you to do, you know, before you got it, you know? Because in those days, a lot of, you know, it was live. It wasn't like miming, and you know, it
well,
wasn't. It happened later.
it was miming then.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
You were kidding?
the very early days, it was miming.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh no, I
and
thought it was five.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't long, but especially top of the pops, they used to start. Start at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they got through to about 3 with all the acts, and then break for lunch, and then have a dress rehearsal about 5, and then the actual show at 7 o'clock.
Oh,
And we always got the early slot. We always had to be
right.
there at 10 o'clock. So, and they'd only do about 2 or 3 run throughs. It was like I said, it was all playback, and they were basically just getting the camera angles and the camera shots together.
It was a very small studio because I used to go. I was very cheeky. I got a ticket to Top Pops in 90. This is the 80s though, when I came back to London, and I went to the ticket unit, and I went about 3 times. And I couldn't believe how small the studios were.
Yeah.
And on the telly, it looks huge.
I know.
You know,
I mean,
like Legs and Co. And
you know, us running through the studio to get on the set and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
What was it like with the dressing rooms, Don? Was it all very manic with all the other artists and bands going in and going out?
Not really. I mean, sort of. When Ross Stewart and the Faces were there, it was they were always playing football in the corridor, you know, sort of thing. but it was like it was the upper class sort of BBC, so you had to be very careful. And it was when we used to go to there'd be the bar upstairs after the show.
Yeah.
Of course, like you had to be signed in. But
that's right. Yeah.
But I remember the doorman. I mean, he was always smashed by the end of the night because everybody was buying him drinks so they could get into the bar. He was loving it. He had you know, glasses of beer lined up, you know, because
those are the days, eh, Don?
It was fantastic. I mean, it was great times. I will say that it was great times.
So, what was your favourite?
We just got a message now that Slade was very big with the Sharpies in Australia. That's true. I can vouch for that. That's how big you were. There's Sharpies in Australia love Slade. That's true.
Oh, okay. Well,
you wouldn't have known that because you're touring around the world. But that's actually true because we're in the middle of nowhere and we're upside down. But let me tell you this. When you hit Slade, right? I'm saying like 1972, when Slade Alive come out, can you tell everybody what kit you had? Tell me the setup with the kit that you actually had for the band. Everyone, all the drummers out there want to know what brand of kit you had and what sort of setup you had.
Well, about 1972, it was a Heyman kit then, an English make. I don't think they're around anymore. But when I went to the States, I was lucky enough to get in with Ludwig drums, and then they made me a special chrome kit, which was fantastic, and. That was so good then, Ludwig drums. I mean, they're sort of I had a day trip around the factory, and I met old man Ludwig, his son, and the grandson. You know, apparently it's one of the very few family businesses left in America. But it was great. I was just like a kid in a toy shop when I went round there. You know, so you can imagine they said to me, "Just take what you want." You know, have what you want, just sign for it. You know, it was.
Do you know 1964? I just want to say the Ludwig family gave Ringo a 24-carat plated snare drum.
Wow.
Well, I've been Bill Ludwig III is one of my mates now, and he was telling me when the Beatles kicked off in the early '60s and Ringo had got Ludwig drums, he said the business went through the roof. He said Ringo just kicked it all off for him. He said it went ballistic. He said they had to go to different factories to keep up the demand. I bought exactly the same kit that Ringo had, because
What's
Ringo
that? A
got
black
one.
pearl? Black pearl.
That's it. That was the one. It was, it was sort of. It had a name. It was a pearl, like a pearl kit, but it was Blue Oyster or whatever,
Yeah.
one of those names. But
Black
that's the
oyster.
reason. I bought it because Ringo had got one.
Yeah.
You know,
Cool.
I think like everybody.
You're the
Very
man,
cool.
Don. I got to tell you, did you have a lot of trouble with your instruments taking them around? Did you lose instruments? Did you have instruments stolen? Did you have anything like that happen to you guys?
There was, of all the years we toured, Plastic, we never had a problem. The only time is back in the 80s. We were playing a club in London, a place in London called the Music Machine, and Nod had his Gibson stolen from the dressing room.
Oh.
And it was his favourite. I mean, he bought it in the States back in the early 70s, and he'd had so much done to it. It was like his baby. And it disappeared out the dressing room, But of course, no one knows anything, It's before the days of having security or roadies and things like that, I mean, it wouldn't happen today, but it's just the way it was. I mean, very sad. But otherwise, apart from that, never had any problems at all.
That's great. And I've got to ask you, right, because I've got to go back to the 70s. When you played the UK, and when you played America, and when you played Australia, who had the most crazy fans? Was it Australia?
Oh, I think Australia was the wildest. Honestly, I mean, like I said, when we first arrived, there's all these TV cameras waiting for us. We were looking behind to see, well, who's on the plane, who they're waiting for, because Slade Alive had gone ballistic. Unbelievable. I mean, when we played like Ramwick Racecourse in Sydney and Hordern Pavilion. We played all the big open air cricket stadiums, and it was phenomenal. It was great. A fantastic tour that was, really good.
Yeah.
We always talk about it. And last time I went back with Andy Scott and Susie Quattro, people still kept on talking about that tour then.
You go. What an impact you made.
Oh, it was amazing, because we never expected anything like that,
And look at the following you still have such a great following.
Yeah, but I got to say, Sabine and Don, I got to tell you, what you don't understand is, Don, in the 70s, we're looking to the biggest bands. And Slade's the biggest band in the world, and it's part of our culture. That's what you got to understand. People love the 70s, and I'll tell you why. There was plenty of money. People worked hard. They bought brand new cars. They were listening to the radio, right? AM radio all the time. They were buying the Slade records. And I got to tell you something, because you don't know, right? In 72, 73, I'm in high school, early high school. And I remember this like yesterday, right? And I told Susie this. I'm in a classroom, and someone comes in with Susie's album. And I've never seen like Susie on an album in the black leather. And everyone's going, wow. And then everyone goes to Slade, and everyone's singing Slade all over the place, and going to discos and parties and singing Slade. That's how much of an impact you got. You are in the 70s. It's never going away.
My school discos, right? Oh my goodness. We had a school disco. It was purely Slade and Sweet.
I mean, because we never knew anything about this. You see, you never know yourself.
No,
it's phenomenal. Since like the last sort of 15, 20 years, and we've found out what we actually meant around the world. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
So much love for you guys.
Amazing. I feel really humbled when you sort of, when you saw people just blind me. I never realised we went that much. I know we got into a lot of trouble with the education authorities in England because with
the spellings,
with the misspelling of. But they used that.
Yeah, but that was. It was a bit quirky. Why not? Just take it what it is.
That's exactly what it was to be. It was just a little thing, a little different thing. I'll tell you what it was, because the first one was "Cause I Love You." We thought, it's a bit soppy, that because I love you. So, and that's why we did it like "Cause I Love You," like that phonetic spelling. That's the reason we did it.
Take me back home, BAK.
Yeah, and we just carried on with it, you
Well,
know.
we're all crazy now, right?
Yeah,
Crazy.
Yeah.
yeah.
What a
Come on,
song. We're all crazy now.
Sorry, what was that, Plastic?
Hey, that song, We're All Crazy Now, I've got to tell you, there's a song by Billy Thorpe and the Aztecs, and that used to be, he sang a song called Most People I Know Think That I'm Crazy. I want you to look that up. Most People I Know Think That I'm Crazy by Billy Thorpe.
I'll tell you where Mum We're All Crazy Now came from. We were on the British tour, and I remember we played Liverpool Stadium. And me and Nod, after the show, I mean, it was a manic crowd, you know, ballistic they were going. And me and Nod walked out onto the stage after the show, and there was all the chairs were just smashed. The arena was smashed up. All the chairs were piled high in the arena. And that's when Nod says, we're all bloody crazy. and that's where Mum We're All Crazy Now came from.
Yeah, brilliant,
It
brilliant.
but
But don't you think, Don? I mean, for me personally, the 70s. I was a teenager in the 70s, and I absolutely loved everything about the 70s. The clothes, the music, like just everything.
Yeah.
You know, and so as you said, the Saturday mornings at the cinema, you know, and going to the blooming Wimpy and everything about the 70s. I still hark back to. I love it. I'm still living in the 70s some days. I just love it, you know.
And there's nothing been the same, has there?
No, I mean
know,
the 80s, yeah, but you know, and then
it's all a bit too sort of clever, you know. But the 70s, we all had a laugh, didn't we? I mean,
oh, we did. You know, it was uncomplicated times. I know we had like
Exactly.
strikes. I know we had the things like, you know, in England we had, you know, in Britain we had, you know, the strikes and the
Yeah,
power
I
cuts
know,
and that
yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah.
But you know, I'm just talking about purely entertainment. I'm talking about the teenagers growing up in that era. What a blast we had, Don.
It was fantastic, wasn't it? I mean, it was just great.
And it's still around, you know, still doing it, and we've still got glam rock very much.
Yeah.
Ongoing. It's everyone. We've got new generations, and my daughter loves glam rock. She's 20, right?
But I think you'll find of all the generations, the 70s is the one that still sticks there.
Very much so.
I'm going to say something about the 70s. We all know about jeans. In the 70s, everyone wanted to wear their jeans. Right?
Yeah.
And their jackets, their Connie jackets, and here in Australia, and the jeans, and whether you had the jeans that had the 5 buttons, the fly, and then all these crazy things. But not only that, people were carrying their cigarettes in their special shirt here in Australia. But you know what? They used to go and buy their vinyl. It was a big thing to buy vinyl then, you see?
It's great to look back at the photographs, isn't it?
I know. Don, have you kept any of the clothes from the 70s?
No, I tell you what, that's the worst thing I ever did. It's the worst thing I ever did. But you don't think at the time.
No, I know. I know.
You know, I mean, lots of people have asked me since. It was actually in the mid.
What happened to all the clothes from, you know, the top of the appearances?
Would you believe I took a lot of it to Oxfam?
Oh no! Well, no, but that's a good thing, though. No, that is a charity. You know,
I don't know what happened to them, but because what I did, I thought I just had them in a bag. I just ran in, dropped them, and ran out again. I didn't want them to have a look.
Has anybody ever kind of turned up and said, "Hey, I've got one of the outfits from Top of the Pops"? You know,
somebody did. I had a black jacket with all like diamante things all over it, and some guy turned up many years later, back in the 80s, and said, "I got that jacket of yours." I said, "Well, where'd you get it from?" You know, I don't know what happened to it. You know, you never know. You never think about it then.
Yeah. What about Noddy? Has Noddy kept anything, or has Slade kept anything?
He kept the top hat with mirrors
on.
The
top hat, yeah.
He's kept that, you know, but. But I believe it's in a safe somewhere.
Right.
In a lockup, you know. But
and Dave and all the platforms and like, my!
I'll tell you what, with the platforms, I tried a pair on. It's been a few years ago now, and I fell over. I thought.
So did I at a school disco.
How did I manage with these, and how did I play drums in them for a start off? You know, so it's phenomenal.
I got to say, did anything end up in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame from Slade?
Yes, some of it did. I bought an acoustic guitar off Nod back in this was in the 60s, Plastic, because I was learning to play guitar. and I gave it to the Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, like the Hard Rock Cafe in London. Then I
Yes,
think,
yeah.
and I gave it to them, and so I
I'll have to
don't
go
know if
and
it's
have a
still
look.
there or not. But I mean, there's some. Oh, well, I had my big Chrome Ludwig kit.
Oh, okay.
I gave that. I think
Oh.
that ended up in the Hard Rock Cafe in Chicago, but I don't know. I haven't heard anything since, you know. But yeah, I've never been round there yet. You know, I must have a
Well,
look.
I've been to the Hard Rock Cafe, like 2 branches in London, and
Okay,
well, next time I go, Don, I'll make a point of having a
have
look.
a look.
I'll check that with you, okay?
I think was it the Hard Rock Cafe down?
Hyde Park Corner.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
the one. Yeah,
Well, you know, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
That's the one anyway. Yeah,
yeah.
but
Because the
no.
other one's a hotel in Marble Arch, and that
Oh, is
doesn't
it?
have that.
Okay, I should
Yeah,
have a look. You know, but
yeah.
no.
But
So
when you're next in London, Don,
I'm gonna go and have a look. Yeah. So
I'll
you know,
I'll come
Don, I
see
want
you.
to tell you something. When I was in New York, I went to the Hard Rock Cafe, and you go through their shop, and then you go downstairs. Now, as soon as I went down the stairs, guess what was there? The 4 1964 Beatles suits with their actual
really?
travel
What-
cases. They were
what
there
the-
in glass. I took photos.
What, the genuine ones,
The
plastic?
genuine ones from 64, the Pierre Cardin suits. John
Wow.
Paul, George and Ringo.
Wow.
Well, I knew a guy who worked in the same studio that we worked in London, plastic. He had the Beatles front skin.
Ooh.
Yeah, and apparently he was going to put it in the rock and roll sales, one of the Sotheby's rock and roll
Yeah.
sales. But apparently Ringo saw it and put the block on it. And he said, if it goes in the sale, the money's got to go to Great Ormond Street, you know, the
Yeah.
Children's Hospital.
Good
You know.
job.
I
Yeah.
never knew what happened to it. I
Mm.
remember when I was living in London, because they used to have the rock and roll sales in Bond Street.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I was walking down there and I saw the original drummer with Jimi Hendrix, Mitch Mitchell.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And he was hop, skipping and jumping down Bond Street. I thought, oh, happy chappy. So I suddenly remembered he put one of Hendrix's white Stratocasters in the rock and roll show that Hendrix gave him. And so when I got back home, you could call up Sotheby's then and find out what certain things went for. And he went for $250,000.
Oh.
Yeah, he went for $250,000.
Wow.
You'll have an appointment
Oh.
at the hospital.
Oh,
How are we going for time?
I've got a hospital appointment.
Okay, Don.
We
So-
salute you, Don. Thanks for being on the show. And just tell everybody your links before you go, where they can find your music and
And
where
we want
you are.
to mention
Tell everybody about your book. Tell everybody
Yeah.
about your book.
and your new band, and Les Glover, bless him. He
Yeah.
sent me, look what he sent me. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
brilliant.
yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks so much for signing it, Don. I
Lovely.
love this. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
tell you what, guys, we could let's do this again, eh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent.
No
We'll do
worries.
part
Look at
2.
this.
There we go.
Okay. I must make a move, guys. Got the hospital.
Okay, then. Thanks so
All
much,
right,
Don.
see ya.
Thanks
We'll
for
see you
everything,
again,
guys.
everybody. See you, Don. Thanks again. Bye.
Take care.
Cheers, Don.
We'll do it
Take
again.
care.
Okay.
Yes, we
Okay,
will.
bye.
We'll